Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Said Dan channel. There's a former SEC attorney who is honest enough to admit the truth regarding the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit and the fact that the SEC, for their own personal selfish interests, seek to have those individuals who they're purportedly protecting, in the case of the SEC v. Ripple case, we, the XRP holders, it's their mission to keep us out. And unfortunately for the SEC, that didn't happen, thanks to attorney John Deaton, getting in as amicus counsel and representing roughly 76,000 XRP holders. Well, this rather honest former SEC attorney, which I very genuinely appreciate, you can tell he's just shooting straight here. He's based, and I'll show you exactly what he said. I transcribed a portion of it, because there's a recent video. But he acknowledges, what has happened here. It is very powerful, and this is about the best thing probably that could have happened in the SEC v. Ripple case. It almost never happens, but it happened here, and it's very effective is what this particular attorney is articulating. And then also I want to briefly touch on the fact that XRP just had a birthday yesterday. That's right, XRP is 11 years old. And I just want to take a couple minutes to appreciate that and share with you a little bit on that topic. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here's a headline from CoinGape, XRP lawsuit. Ex-SEC lawyer predicts one-off Ripple win. And I want to cover just a portion of this, and I'm going to go straight into a transcription from a video clip, which I transcribed myself. But anyway, this part of the article reads as follows. Nick Morgan, the former SEC senior trial counsel, applauded the support given by individual XRP token holders in the SEC lawsuit. However, he predicted that the SEC's history suggests the agency would defend the other crypto lawsuits even if Ripple wins the XRP lawsuit. Yeah, and so I think that we all kind of knew this was coming. I've talked about this concept before, but if things go well for Ripple and or XRP holders, it's not that they're necessarily going to pivot, at least not to necessarily some particularly notable degree. They're still going to say, well, the facts and circumstances with this one case very unique here because we're a little bunch of bad bitches. But, the rest of those cases, they're going to approach it with the same vigor that they always have because they are asshat pricks. And as far as I'm concerned, spawns of Satan. That's pretty much it. Shout out and credit to my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie. Excuse me. She shared this video clip, which is how I came across this initially. And she wrote the following. Former SEC senior trial counsel, Nick Morgan, so that's the attorney here, weighs in on Ripple case. And I transcribed the portion that I found to be most relevant. And by the way, he's the guy in the top right here. Whoa, let me take a sip of water here. All right, thanks for waiting. All right, I'm back. So here's what attorney Morgan had to say, former SEC attorney. The Ripple case is a good example of, by the way, you were saying, what can individual participants in the space do? It's not easy to do this, but in the Ripple case, I think it's been very effective that XRP token holders have tried to have their voice heard in this case. Because in every SEC case, you've got the SEC that purports to be looking out for investors' interests, and you've got the defendants who the SEC has accused of doing something wrong. What you don't have is actual representation by the investors. And in fact, the SEC discourages that and tries to keep people out of those cases. And there are ways to get your voices heard in those cases. It's not super easy, but it's also not impossible. So I would encourage people, if they are involved in the tokens that are issued in a particular case, to look for a way to have the judge hear their voice directly. Bam. So this is seriously about the best thing that could have happened. The fact that John Deaton jumped in because the SEC pissed him off along with the rest of us, the fact that he jumped in and is now representing about 76,000 XRP holders is supremely damaging to the SEC's case. And by the way, this has never happened in history. And I do literally mean there's never been an instance where 76,000 or anywhere near that participants are being represented on behalf of amicus counsel, in this case, John Deaton. This is literally just something that is unprecedented. to this degree specifically. And it's hard to do, and Judge Torres welcomed all of this, which, by the way, I still think is a fantastic sign. And we'll see what happens, but very good to see all of this. And it's also very good to see, if you can get an SEC attorney, who is being honest, or if you can get one, well, even if they're working there, you're not going to be able to get much out of them, I don't think, because they probably want to keep their job. But if you can find, intellectually honest SEC attorneys that used to work there, so former SEC attorneys, I just see a completely different tune almost all the time. There's an attorney, Mark Fadgel. I've been highlighting some stuff from him recently. Not that I agree with him on everything, but I think he's being intellectually honest. And then here, in this case, Attorney Morgan here seems to get, this is pretty bad for the SEC. And then Attorney Deaton responded. Oh, by the way, I want to mention this too. It's Attorney John Deaton's birthday today, June 3rd. The day after XRP's birthday. How about that? I mean, if it's just one day off. Wouldn't that have been something if it were literally the same day? So anyway, everybody's been wishing him a happy birthday on Twitter, and I did. I sent him out a little tweeter. But anyway, here's what Attorney Deaton said in response to this. Thank you, Eddie. Nick Morgan is one of the good guys in this space. He also filed an amicus brief in the library case in addition to Coinbase and Ripple cases. Smart lawyer and a great guy. So you got to appreciate this. I'm just saying. It's nice to see some honesty from a former SEC attorney. It's fantastic. So all credit where it's due. Okay, so into this next thing. And again, it is kind of funny, right? That it's John Deaton's birthday. One day off from XRP's birthday. So here's XRP community member Panos. He's at Panos Mech on Twitter. He wrote, 11 years ago, XRP was born. The legendary dev team, Arthur, David, Jed, created XRP, a deflationary currency and the native coin of the XRP ledger. 100 billion XRP was created that day, and no more will ever exist. And I haven't talked about this in a long time. I mean, typically it's kind of reserved for if it's XRP's birthday. And for a long time, the story wasn't really known. It wasn't until the end of 2019 that David Schwartz shared some specific information and kind of shed some light on the origins of XRP and when its actual quote-unquote birthday was. And so David Schwartz, being one of the creators, wrote the following. There have been, oh, by the way, this is December 12th, 2019. He wrote, there have been some questions floating around about the origins of the XRP ledger and when XRP was created. Let me help clear those up. I worked with Arthur Brito and Jed McCaleb starting in late 2011. We co-created the XRP ledger. Here is my first code commit from November 2011. And there's a link I didn't pull up for the purposes of this video, but you got the cut of his jib. And then he says, here's Arthur's code that created the 100 billion XRP, then called XNS, on June 2nd, 2012, the birth date of XRP. Yes, this shows a code push, but was obviously used. GitHub history that shows how many times we contributed and executed every day, and then there's a link to it. And by the way, here's one of the things I don't know that I really just need to I haven't taken the time to actually ask. I've just mentioned a couple times on my channel. I don't know. But XRP, of course, used to be called XNS. What did XNS stand for? Do any of you know? Because I've lamented the fact that I don't know, like a couple times before, and then I forget about it, and I never go ask you. I should just go ask David Schwartz. But if any of you know, please let me know in the comment section below. It's got to stand for something. I don't think that would be random. I mean, I could hazard a guess as far as what the X means. It's probably the same as the X in XRP, which is just because it's not a nation. So if you've got a little ticker symbol for an asset like this, and it's not a nation, then you just plug the X in there. But as far as X, I don't know what the NS stands for then. Am I missing something obvious? Is it going to be super duper obvious? I don't know. Anyway, if any of you know, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to try and remember to ask somebody at some. Maybe I'll put a tweet out or something. But anyway, then David Schwartz says, by June 2012, the XRP ledger was live and transacting. We were still madly squashing bugs as these were early days. We reset the ledger sequence multiple times for binary format changes, and transaction history was erased. This does not mean the 100 billion XRP was recreated each time. Huzzah! The XRP ledger version that we know and love today began in December 2012. Unfortunately, the first week's worth of data, which would be ledgers 1 through 32,570, is lost, but people like Thomas Silkgyre, XRP community member, have been researching it. Yeah, so I think that that's probably just lost forever at this point. Those first legend. And the thing was, and not that it matters, because you know, the transactions are the transactions. You could effectively count 32,570 as like the starting point if you wanted to, but it doesn't matter even. It really doesn't matter. Because regardless of that being the case, like, well, here's the thing. So here's what David Schwartz has also articulated. They were resetting multiple times. I mean, he mentioned that in the tweet that I just shared with you. And as he mentioned here, of course, it didn't mean that, that XRP was recreated each time. It's just a little counter that doesn't mean anything. And it was during a beta phase, so it's like nobody was using it. So it doesn't matter. So they happened to not reset it because they didn't realize that would end up being the final version. But they were pretty much shared in hindsight. Well, had we realized that, then yeah, we would have reset it. But since it wasn't public anyway, it was in beta testing, it doesn't matter. You could say it's lost, but it was a bug that was discovered in beta. They fixed it, and then the product went live. So it still doesn't matter. I just thought I'd mention that. So there you go. Happy birthday to XRP. 11 years old yesterday. How about that? I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.